Hi everybody, this is Ingrid Karazinger, and I wanted to talk a little bit about having COVID-19, the coronavirus. There's been so much speculation and opinions and links and articles about COVID-19, and I thought it would be helpful if I were to actually give you guys my experience having had it and answer any questions that you guys might have about it. I know that, I was on that other side of this thing, basically, reading about how it was affecting people, but wasn't necessarily affecting my life, or even in Texas for a long time. We were one of the last to really get affected, and now it's of course going crazy here in Texas. But I remember thinking it wasn't going to come here. I mean, I was feeling, kind of removed from it because I just didn't know anybody that had it. And I know that it was, so much death and tragedy all around the world, but it was kind of like when you hear about a storm coming, it's like, well, it's not here right now, so I don't worry too much about it, but once that storm hits you and, shingles are flying off your roof, then you start to feel differently than you do when you don't have the rain. So having COVID actually hit you and affect you, I'll tell you, it's pretty awful. So I was going to just tell you a couple things that I experienced to help those who may still be wondering about it, or have questions about it. So it does affect everybody differently. I still feel like crap. I got the first symptoms on June 15th, so that should tell you, it's been a couple weeks, and I still feel like I've been run over by a tractor, the one with the spiky things. But, the major symptoms are gone, but my whole body has felt sick this whole time, and it still does. Every day I wake up still feeling the same, very sick. But I can do things now. I can do chores. I can walk around. I can do dishes. So how it hit me was, it was a Monday night, and I was very tired, and so I was so tired I just couldn't wait to crawl into bed. And the next day I woke up with a fever, and I had that fever for 4 or 5 days. My fever wasn't too bad. It was about around 100. I don't know if it got higher than that. It might have. The thermometer we had at the time was not working very well. We had since gotten a better one, but I was with the fever for quite a while, and I was thinking, I've never had a fever this long, and with flu symptoms, normally you have a fever for 1 to 2 days. So it was definitely very difficult having a fever for that long, and it was, scary. So I think one of the first symptoms I realized outside of that was my complete loss of taste and smell. I still don't really have taste. It's like everything tastes like I'm eating metal or drinking metal. Water tastes like metal. Everything tastes like metal. But that loss of taste is still something I've never experienced. And it's not like when you have a cold and you can't really taste and smell. It's like it is gone. I had this soup one day, I remember a week or so ago, that was extremely spicy, but I did not know that. I had my daughter test it, and she started coughing, going, "How can you drink this?" And I don't do well with spice, and I didn't realize it was spicy because I could taste nothing. It was like water, and I had tingles on my lips going, "What is that feeling?" Literally no sense of taste. So I know that doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's very unsettling. It's very strange. So anyway, once the fevers stopped, I still felt very sick. And then I went through a couple days of vomiting, and I couldn't even keep water down. So that was 48 hours, which was probably the worst part of this whole thing, were those 2 days of vomiting. Not everybody gets that, but that was something that I experienced as well. And that was around the clock vomiting for 2 days. I don't know if you know what that's like, but it's pretty bad. So anyway, ever since, I have been slowly recovering, but again, my whole body feels like it's been run over by a train or something. It's pretty awful. So that's what you might call the milder symptoms compared to what my husband went through. He had a fever that was 103. I mean, that's high, for 10 days, which is a long time. 103 fever for 10 days. I don't know if you can imagine having that for one day. So he has a long road of recovery, because it's been a couple weeks for him as well. And most of it was with a high fever. One day he did, I woke up to hearing him fall, and his fever spiked even higher, and he fell, and he was gray in the face, and I thought he was dead. I thought he was going to die. And that was a very scary day, and that was a week ago. I didn't talk too much about that. I took him to the ER, and I had to leave him there because they wouldn't let me come in. And I didn't know what was going to happen. So that was probably the most terrifying day of my life since I can remember. So I'm really thankful that he's okay and that he's still alive, obviously. But it's not just the sickness and the symptoms. It's that, it's the fear of, he was sick for so long too, and it didn't seem to get better. And the doctor said there's nothing they could do. So that's what's so scary, that you feel helpless, and everybody talks about remedies, but if you haven't experienced, you don't understand. Nothing works on it. I did healing work, and I had other people do healing work, and that seemed to work. Healing work works, but remedies, all these remedies do not work. He was taking, and he is a health nut, he was taking a ton of vitamins the entire time, and his Tylenol, which is the only thing the doctor said you can do. He still had 103 fever for 10 days. It did not matter what he took, how many vitamins, how much ginger root, or anything he took. That is why this is scary, and please don't think you're an expert in every illness because you know some remedies. It's really important that I'm saying all this because I want you to take precautions, stay home when you can, wear a mask, do the things that you need to do for us to stop this disease. It is not a joke. Anyway, you can't just wish it away with some tea, okay? There are things that are going to make you feel better maybe, and some people have lesser symptoms. But the fact is, it is very scary, and it is very serious. And yes, people die from it, but that's not even what we're talking about here. We're talking about all the people that got as sick as we did, as my husband did, and almost died. That is even scarier and so much worse when you don't know what's going to happen and you have to live with that. So it has been what I would say kind of a terrifying 2 weeks for me, for us. And of course, our children who had very mild symptoms, they had fevers just one day, and otherwise they don't feel very well, but they're doing fine. They had to bring us water. They had to sit and just watch both of us not be able to move, not be able to do anything for us. And of course, everyone else doesn't want to come into our home, doesn't want to help us. I thought when my husband fell, if I couldn't pick him up myself, he was able to get up after a while. But I was thinking, nobody's going to want to help. Nobody's going to be able to help us because they don't want to get infected. And that's the other scary part about this. So you don't want to go through this. My point is you don't want to go through this. So please just take precautions and do what you can. I am open to questions. If you guys want to send me anything, questions that you have about it, I am happy to answer because we all had different symptoms. we did all have a fever, and we all got the loss of sense, the loss of taste. Those things we both had. and we still have that's no taste at all. But if you do have questions, feel free to reach out. I'm trying to help educate people on what it's like, and what you can do and what you really can't do. But the best thing to do is to stay home and starve this out. My in-laws are in Austria, and Austria immediately, their lockdown was everybody, if they went in any place, had to have a mask on from the beginning. So if you walk into a grocery store, they had masks and they gave them to you everywhere you went. They have no problem. They opened up. They have no problem whatsoever now because they made sure that they starved it out. They took a couple months of making everybody wear a mask, and this thing never hit them. It never hit them hard. Some people got sick, but it didn't happen to their country. Okay, so Austria, everybody wore a mask, and now it's gone, and they opened up again. Okay, so it's really that simple. And if we'd all done that from the beginning, we'd probably be through this by now. But instead, we're starting all over again here in Texas because people were not doing it, and we opened back up, and now it's spreading maybe too fast for everybody to stop. But it's really because people weren't wearing masks, or they were just running around infecting each other, not even realizing it, because you can give it to someone without even having symptoms and knowing you have it. So if everybody stays home, if everybody wears masks, everybody, for a month or two, we can starve it out and it'll be gone. But I don't know how else to make people do it except tell you, you don't want this illness. It's not pretty. It's not nice. So that is my story. I hope it's helping, somebody out there. I feel like this whole time everybody preaching or saying do this, do that. If you're intelligent, if you understand what needs to happen, you'll just do it. And yes, you can still get sick. I still had to go out and do things because I can't stand to be home. So it was harder for me, and that's why I got it. Because I still was out there touching things and being around things. It wasn't that I didn't take all precautions. I still took precautions, but I still got it because I didn't want to just stay home the whole time. So there's a lot we can do. But the point is, yelling at people to put on their masks on the internet or anywhere is not going to solve anything. You just make people angry when you tell them to do that. The laws need to tell us to do that and be enforced the way that laws are supposed to be enforced. We're not supposed to police each other. Okay, that's what the government is for. That's what the law enforcement is for, is to set laws that are going to help us and keep us safe. And they're finally doing that here. They finally have an ordinance saying that you have to wear a mask to go indoors. So we might be able to save ourselves. I have faith. So thank you for listening, and I hope it helps. And I wish you all well, and namaste. Thanks, guys.